Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of November 2014, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an interesting month we have for you. What an important month the universe has for you. This month features a new moon taking place in your sign. Now, every sign gets a new moon, usually one new moon every year, and this is yours. And it tends to represent a new beginning of sorts, a new beginning very close to the heart. It is you planting seeds, important seeds that will reap full fruition just a little bit further down the road, especially once we get to the 6-month mark down the road and you experience a full moon in your sign. When a new moon in your sign takes place, it tends to denote things beginning for you that stand out. And so when you look back over the course of this year, or even if you look back late next year, you'll remember right around this time you started some things that really matter to you. You started some initiatives and they led to good things. They lead to things that matter to you in one sense, but also they allow you to work on and eventually bring to fruition the things that you believe are worth working on. So there are a few different ways that this particular new moon is going to play out for you that I think is really important. So I do want to break it down a little bit. You know, for regular friends and fans know that I do get a little bit technical sometimes because of your interaction. You've actually asked for that. And I love your interactions. You all know that. You've asked me to explain actually what it is I'm looking at as I interpret the sky for you. So I'm happy to break it down. Those of you who are not astrology students, I'm always trying to be as simple as possible, at least to sort of allow the curiosity to take root for you as well. But let me explain it. What's happening is this particular new moon is taking place in the second half of the month. And just a couple of days before the new moon, we have Venus entering your sign. And then right around the time of the full moon, a few really interesting things take place. One is that moments after the sun enters the sign of Sagittarius, we experience this new moon. So within hours, really. And this is very significant. If you think back to what was happening last month, for a lot of the signs, I mentioned the fact that we had an eclipse taking place last month. Solar eclipses are new moon eclipses, and they tend to be really powerful new moons in general, very simplistically said. This is not an eclipse, okay? So it's not exactly as amplified as the new moon we had last month. However, it is a new beginning, especially for you, especially that reaches right into the heart, and it is an important time for all of us. Last month we had this eclipse take place, this new moon take place at what astrologers call 0 degrees. So what that means is the sun and the moon have just newly stepped into their respective signs. So they've just freshly stepped into this new energy as represented by the sign, but they haven't fully understood how to work with it yet, how to actually utilize this energy to its advantage as part of these new beginnings. So just as it sounds, 0 degrees, very, very beginning of the sign, it is truly representative of a new beginning, a very new beginning. Now, I have been talking about in the weekly horoscopes that I do, I have been talking about over the course of these last few months how interesting it is that, especially when we think back to 2012, we had all this lunar activity, all these new moons happening at the very end of their respective signs. And it certainly was a year that marked a lot of endings for a lot of people out there, but especially in a larger sense as well, sort of in a cultural sense, as we all sort of prepared for the end of one age and the beginning of another. 2013, lots of shifts were taking place, personal shifts, as I found a lot of people, Sagittarius included, sort of adjusting to this new energy. And then we get to this year. And one of the key features of this year, especially in the second part of this year, has been these new moons happening at the very, very beginning of their signs. And this certainly has been a year of a lot of fresh starts and new beginnings and just stepping into new things, new energy. even if you don't necessarily know what you're going to do with that energy just yet, even if you don't necessarily know how you're going to go forward with this, what it's actually going to mean, all of us in our own way are beginning new chapters, and most of us beginning new chapters in many different areas of life as well. So for you, we've got this very interesting new moon happening at 0 degrees at the very, very beginning of its respective sign, of your sign. And again, just like it sounds, it represents a new beginning, a fresh new start for you. Venus is close by, just like she was last month, having entered your sign just a couple of days before, a few days before. But what's interesting about what's happening at the same time of this new moon is that the new moon occurs, so just before the new moon happens, while the moon is still in Scorpio, actually meets Saturn, moves into your sign, new moon occurs. And then that moon moves forward to meet Venus and speak with Neptune, and Venus is also having her own conversation with Neptune as well. And this particular type of conversation is what astrologers call a square. So not to lose any of you who are not astrology students, essentially this is a type of conversation between Venus and Neptune and the moon and Neptune that represents in some ways looking at the disappointments that have been of the past and figuring out what is going to be different now so that you can not necessarily avoid it, but make the best use of the experiences that you had of what maybe didn't work out before. So there's an element here of facing disappointment, but not allowing that to stop you from doing something new, from beginning again. You know, I look at this particular configuration taking place, and you add to this that Venus is so intimately involved with this new moon as well, as I've been speaking about for a lot of the signs out there. You add the fact that Venus is involved. Venus is the goddess of love. And so there's an element of Venus that has to do with, of course, physical love, romantic love, what Socrates called earthly Aphrodite. And then there's another aspect of Venus as well that Socrates called celestial Aphrodite. And this is essentially sort of an elevated understanding of love. The love of knowledge, for example, the love of form, the love of seeing the similarities among many, many things and many, many people as well, the love of unity. And so we've got this element there of you looking at what you really love. What do you truly love? Where does this love actually come from? What is it in your past that has determined what it is that you love? And where is it that maybe your past experiences sort of led you down a pathway? And this is not romantically yet. I'm not talking about that just yet. I'll save that for the love-focused horoscope. But where is it that maybe your heart, your desires, what it is that you wanted sort of led you in a direction that eventually created some pain, some disappointment, some uncertainty? What is so interesting about what is taking place is it's happening at the same time that we've got this new moon taking place. And so new moons are fresh insights. They're enthusiasm, and especially in the sign of Sag, you really are at your best when you are enthusiastic. And so there's an element here of you beginning again, of being open, of fresh starts, and sensing that you are on the verge of a brand new year, a personal new year for you. And at the same time, there's an appreciation of what didn't work in the past, where maybe you followed your passions and it worked, and where maybe it didn't work. Where it is actually that you were misinterpreting signals in the past, where it was maybe that your own fears and your own delusions contributed to what didn't work in the past. And all of that now allows you to feel a sense of certainty and a sense of strength with who you are now and who you are today. When I see the moon doing this kind of thing, it does suggest to me some emotions sort of flowing a little bit as well for you. So be kind with yourself, be patient with yourself. You are on the verge of starting something brand new. Again, it is a new beginning. You know, I'm reminded of a quote that I once heard that said, and I really strive to live my life according to this, is that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what can be done in 10 years. Now, that's just sort of an example of time. I've certainly found this to be true, and many, many people I've spoken to over the years have found this to be true as well. And what that essentially means to me is that everything has a process, and a lot can be accomplished. And you actually have a lot more time than you realize. But when we put these arbitrary pressures on ourselves of what needs to be done and what needs to be done right away, and we get all gung-ho, which is great to be gung-ho, but the greatest achievements, the things that we're really proud of when we look back at our life and say, wow, I actually did that, I feel really proud of myself, they tend to be the things that we committed to. We set a goal and we stuck it out, and it's not just about sticking it out doggedly, but it is about learning along the way, tweaking along the way, understanding where certain goals, we don't really want them anymore. We wanted them for reasons that weren't really authentically true to what was going to make us happy or what it was that we were created to do. These are all part of learning and all part of moving in a direction that ultimately we can feel good about, that allows us to feel a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and a sense of meaning in our lives as well. And so I look at the sky playing out, and it does suggest that if you are one of those Sagittarius out there who does sort of begin this with a gung-ho kind of attitude, which is great, right? Have your enthusiasm, and yet understand that the past is meant to teach you. And if there is something there that you've been holding on to, some road, some path that you have been very determined to stick out, understand where it is now that it's asking for adjustments. But don't make those adjustments immediately, and don't make them from a place of passing emotion. Understand that everything in your life, absolutely everything, and I'm very, very much of this belief, that everything as part of the mystery is designed to move you towards greater love and greater wisdom. There's the romantic love, of course, but I'm also talking about that celestial Aphrodite, that higher sense of love as well. Love for self, love for unity, love for humanity, love in the sense of embodying that energy of creation that moves through all of us. Now, I know I'm getting a little lofty there, but I do think that given this conversation between Venus and Neptune and the moon activating this conversation, the moon joining Venus and speaking with Neptune as well, it does tell me that this is going to be something that is going to be inspiration and is going to be a reminder that you very much need, especially around the time of the new moon. You certainly can achieve a lot of great things, and you're going to have a lot of really great ideas in the second part of the month. Mercury will officially be out of shadow. You will be preparing for Mercury to enter your sign at this point. You've got Venus newly in your sign, making you attractive without a doubt. Now get clear on what it is that you truly want to attract and why. If it's something that has outworn its usefulness to you, if it is something that you know you no longer truly want, but have been sticking it out because you think it says something about you to actually attain that thing, well, this is your chance to get honest and to clear a pathway towards something that actually matters to you. One thing is for sure though, it's your personal new year. It's the beginning of your birthday month, so a very big happy birthday, of course. And it is your time to understand in your heart of hearts what it is that you desire to begin and where it is that you desire to begin again. And that's the great things about new moon, or that's one of the great things about new moons, is that you can make a wish. And especially if that's a new moon in your sign, you can make a wish and know that the universe is certainly on your side to make that wish into a reality.